So hello everyone, welcome on this great community event. Before I start, huge thanks to our sponsors. They make this opportunity to speak and to share knowledge with you. My name is Marcin Szynski. I'm M365 architect and consultant from ISG. I live in Warsaw, in Poland. I work with M365 Stack, Teams, Viva, SharePoint Online, and stuff around those services. And today I want to talk about Teams meetings, and how to make them more secure, how to secure them, what is available out of the box, what you can get if you buy some additional licenses for Teams. So today's short agenda, first, what is inside Teams, which you can use to secure your Teams meetings out of the box. Then I will go through Teams premium features. There's a lot of features and functions dedicated to security. Then I will show you how to build a baseline without Teams Premium features. And then I will talk a little about proposed tiers of protection. And there is a concept how you can create different tiers of protection for your Teams meetings, for your content and information shared during meetings on Teams. So let's go. First, what is by default? Of course, all your Teams meetings information. This session is via Teams, so all those information, all this traffic data, it's encrypted by default using transport layer security and secure real-time transfer protocol. So those two features are always on. You can't disable that. So TLS is always enabled. So all communication, all traffic is secure by default. But there's also a few more features that you should check and understand. First, you can enable or disable anonymous access. It is the first step to give someone unauthorized access to your meetings. Then guest access, you can control guest access as well. Who can bypass lobby? This is very important. Who can start recording? It's also very important. And there is one tricky thing about that. And let me check one more thing. Sorry for my presentation here. Okay, so encryption by default. So this is a standard. So I won't talk about that. But those additional features, you can control those features using Teams policies. And I will show you that because there's one very important thing about that. Let me go to Teams Admin Center. And in meeting policies, there are a lot of features. But number one, I think, is that you can select or enable or disable this anonymous user access. In many companies, in many organizations, this is enabled by default. And it's not always a good idea to keep this feature enabled. Why? Because people forget about this feature, about this setting, and anyone using Teams meeting link can enter your meeting and listen, take screenshots, record the meeting, etc. So it's a good idea to disable that feature and maybe enable per meeting. The next one, very important, is who can bypass the lobby. This is very important because if you allow by default everyone to bypass the lobby and join your meeting, in many cases, people from outside your organization can enter the meeting without any notification. Without people that are from your company won't be able to understand or know when those external people enter the meeting. So it's a good idea or best practice even to set this to people in my organization only. Then if anyone else wants to join, someone from your company needs to enter this attendee. Then where is it? Who can present? It's also important, but you can do this during the meeting. And very important one, meeting recordings. Using Teams admin policies, you can set up if recordings are enabled or disabled. That's great. Of course, recordings are good because you need, in many cases, record the meeting, then reply it, share it, etc. It's very important to have this feature enabled, but there's one small feature. One small feature, too many. I will open Teams meeting settings. Okay, I will create a new one. It will be faster. And if I go to options, please, I'll go here. And there is tiny little here. This settings record automatically. By default, it is disabled. That's okay, but you can enable this feature. But if you enable it, keep in mind that everyone who entered the meeting will trigger this recording automatically. So by default, that person will be owner of this recording. In many cases, it doesn't matter if you enable that or not, but in some rare cases, if you allow anonymous users to enter the meeting, and then they can start a meeting, and this feature will be enabled, anonymous user can trigger automatic recording, and this recording will be pasted in chat. So keep in mind that auto recording is good, but it can be tricky, and I always suggest to make it disabled by default and only enable in very specific scenarios when you know that you will record, when you work with your colleagues, with your partners, but never ever when you work with anonymous users. It can be tricky, and you can easily lost access or lost your information. But those are basic settings that you can configure inside Teams meeting, inside out-of-the-box features. But Microsoft released Teams Premium licenses, Teams Premium features as an add-on to Teams, basic Teams license. And there are a few very interesting features. First one, watermarks. Then end-to-end encryption. And there's also support for sensitivity labels, meeting templates, control. You can control who can record. Very, very interesting feature. And you can also prevent copy-paste from meeting chats. And watermarks, this is a really interesting feature because you can protect your meeting content. So we're talking about sharing content and about video streams. With this feature enabled on your screen and on everybody's screen, there's a user's email address used as a watermark. So if you want to copy, take screenshot, or record a meeting using a third-party software, well, on every single frame or on every single picture, there will be a watermark with your own email address. So you can't use it as a fully protection from stealing information, but it makes it a little bit harder, and it will protects your screen sharing from copy paste directly. If you enable watermarks, you can't record meetings. You can't use PowerPoint Live. Whiteboard is also not supported, so there are some limitations when you want to use watermarks. But the next one, end-to-end encryption, this is very interesting because you can add additional encryption layer between parties in Teams meetings. And this feature support meetings up to 50 people. So 50 attendees can organize a meeting and enable this additional encryption. And when you enable this, Microsoft doesn't take any responsibility for encryption. All encryption is managed and maintained by Teams clients. So all traffic is encrypted using your Teams client and sent to other attendees. What is encrypted? Of course, video, screen sharing, and audio. Only those three channels are encrypted, and anything else is disabled. So you can't use Excel Live, you can't use breakout rooms, PowerPoint Live, all those together modes and large galleries are disabled. Live captions are also disabled, and recording is not available. So if you enable encryption, this advanced encryption end-to-end, you can't record a meeting. So you gain something, but you lose something in the same time. Sensitivity labels. This is a very interesting feature because you can add additional, that's better. You can add additional protection layer to your Teams meeting, and you can force this using sensitivity labels. So you can assign a sensitivity label to a meeting, force this label for a specific group of people. For example, you can assign a financial label to financial team, and by default, all meetings created by that group will be automatically configured with specific settings. For example, lobby settings, presenter, recordings, watermarks, encryption. In this case, you can enable encryption by default. So all people from financial team will need to use encryption if they create a Teams meeting, of course. This feature requires Teams Premium Plus. This is the most demanding feature. Plus Microsoft E5 or E5 compliance or F5 compliance or F5 Security Plus compliance. So you need a lot of additional features to use this, additional licenses to use this feature. And the next one, meeting templates. You can create custom meeting templates. I will show you that in a moment. And you can configure security options, audio, video, recording, and transcription settings. You can create roles and meeting engagement. And when user use this template, all those settings will be applied automatically. So just create a meeting using a specific template, and then all settings will be automatically applied to a meeting. And those templates are assigned via policies. So you need to create a policy and assign this to a specific group of people. It's great because you can create multiple different templates for multiple different group of your users. So I will show you that because there are a few interesting here. Okay. Interesting options. So by default, if you acquire Teams Premium license, you will see, let's say test meeting. I need to create one meeting to show you options. Okay. Meeting options, yep. So by default, if you do not configure any, any templates, anything else, but why I can't zoom it. So with Teams Premium license, without any additional configuration, you will get here watermark section. So we can select and configure if you want to use watermark during the meeting or not. If you enable that, so this kind of watermark is used. So the username is applied on entire screen, entire shared screen, and the entire video feed. So if you take a screenshot, you will get a screenshot with those with your own email. So pretty common use case taken from, for example, from video games. When you participate as a beta tester, in many cases there is a watermark with your username or user login on your screen. And there's also option to use this end-to-end encryption here. If I enable this, all users need to use Teams client, and all traffic will be additionally encrypted. There's also option who can record, and where is it? Okay, that's it. So by default, you can select enable watermark encryption and who can record. But if you want to use more advanced features, for example, templates, you need to go to Teams Admin Center. And there is a dedicated setting. And in meetings, there is meeting template section. Yep, I don't want to save it. And you can create here templates for your meetings. For example, I created this one, HR template, and you can predefine, maybe zoom out a little, and you can predefine all settings for this meeting. For example, I want to enable my users to decide about lobby, but I enabled end-to-end encryption and watermarks by default, and those settings are locked, so people won't be able to change it. It will be grayed out simply. Then there's an audio video section, recording and transcription, so I can select who can record or who can't record. As you can see, I can't change it because I enabled watermarks, and recordings are not available with watermarks, so this section is not available this time. I can specify meeting engagement, for example, enable Q&A panel or disable. And when I save it, I need to assign it via template policy. I can create a new template policy and assign it to specific users. And if you go there, there's a tiny little mark that this feature required premium license. So if you don't have premium license, you can't use this feature. But keep in mind that you don't need to cover all your Teams users with premium licenses. You need to cover only those who will start meetings. So in many cases, you need to cover, for example, only financial team or top management, legal team, etc. So this is about meeting templates. And if you create a meeting template, if I go to my Teams calendar and click new meeting, but this drop down, I can't see it. Yes, I can't see it, of course, because this is a web. I will go to my okay, zoom a little to my remote desktop to show you that. Okay. So if I go and click this new meeting, there is a custom templates section, and I will get there all my custom templates or custom templates created by my IT department. So as you can see, there is an HR template. If I click that, I will get a new Teams meeting with all those settings predefined for me. And some options are locked by default. So as you can see, I can't change end-to-end encryption. I can't disable it physically. I can't. I'm not able to do this. Watermarks and so on. I can only change those settings that are enabled for me. So in this case, if I want to create an HR meeting for HR team, I can use this template, and I don't need to worry about privacy, about security settings. All settings are enabled for me. This is great option if you want to create templates to cover many different scenarios. For example, for meetings with legal team, with top management teams, town halls with top management, etc. So people don't need to go and check settings because to be honest, no one does it. People just create meetings without knowing that there's such thing like options. But you can create such thing, such templates for them. So they will use it without any additional work or tasks to do. So those are templates. But what about, where is this here? What about the next feature called sensitivity labels? And this one requires additional licenses. So not only Teams Premium, but also Team M365 compliance or E5. So this one required a lot more, but gives you a lot more. So I created a template using Microsoft Purview. And yes, I want to edit that label to show you what's inside. Of course, some basic information, but there is this additional setting. So I can protect meetings and chats. This one, this is a new feature. If you have Teams Premium, without Teams Premium, this option is disabled. And then I have options to configure Teams meetings with this label. So I can control who can present, for example, only people in my organization and co-organizers. I can decide if people in my organization can bypass the lobby or not. Watermarks. Yep. I can control who can record, for example, only organizers. Or I can enable recording automatically or end-to-end encryption. If I enable end-to-end encryption, recordings settings are disabled. I can select watermarks. I can control meeting chat. So for example, I will disable meeting chat completely, and I can prevent copying from chat and to content. So I probably should leave chat meetings enabled. So when I save it, then I can control additional features. Yep. So I have this configured. That's great. I can publish my label, and then I can decide if those settings using a label policy, what to do with those settings. I can edit that one to show you. So I can assign this label policy to a specific group of people or enable it to all users. And then I can configure it in more advanced way. For example, I must provide, I can force users. So if they want to change or remove the label, they need to provide a justification for that. Not just I don't want to use a label, but they need to write a comment why I don't want to use these security features. So I can strictly define how I want those labels to be used, if I want to force those labels to people or not. And in the end, when users want to create a meeting, by default, I can click new meeting and save it and send. I can go and edit the meeting. This one is not enabled. Okay, I will show you that in my web browser. I have definitely too many profiles to do this. Okay, but now let's click a new meeting. No, I'm admin account. That's the case. Sorry. Here. Yep. This is my proper account. So let me show you that again. I click just new meeting without any additional configuration, just new meeting. For example, HR meeting. No 2. I can add some guests. Okay, and send. So by default, this sensitivity label HR meetings is applied. I don't need to do anything, just by default, because I'm a member of this specific group, all those settings are applied to my meetings. So in fact, I can't remove it because I configured it this way that it's obligatory, and the user can't remove this or select anything else. So if I want to create a meeting because I'm a person that need additional security layers, all those security features are applied automatically. In this case, what's there? What's there? Watermarks are enabled by default, and end-to-end encryption is enabled by default as well. So I can't change it because I'm a special user. I need those additional protections, additional security features. I just can't do anything. I can join, of course, a meeting without those security features, but if I want to create one, I can't. I'm not able to do this. And those sensitivity labels are great because you can control what is applied by default, how user can react to those labels. So if they want to remove that label, they need to write a justification. They need to simply explain why they don't need to use this. But what if I want to join? I will join, which one? Probably this one. Yep. Test meeting, test, this one should be. So I will show you this additional end-to-end encryption also. Yes, it's encrypted. No, it's not encrypted. That's my, okay. So I would go to this meeting. It's encrypted, and I will. Oh, come on. I will create a new one. And I invite my administrator account. Yep. So if I join this meeting, without any additional screen sharing, there is a tiny little icon, this shield with lock. And if I click this, there's information that this meeting has additional security layer enabled. And there's this control string with those 5 set of digits. And if I go and join the same meeting from a different account, okay, I have the same, those numbers should be the same. Yep, they are the same. And this means that this security codes must be the same. Otherwise, it means that something changed between those two attendees, those two people. So we can confirm if this is properly encrypted and the encryption isn't changed during the connection between users. So if there's those two numbers, those two strings are different, it means that someone is stealing information, or there's an man in the middle attack, and so on. But you can always at any time, check those strings to be sure that this meeting is properly secured using this additional end-to-end encryption. And one more thing about this encryption settings, you need a full Teams client or mobile client to join it. You can't join this encrypted meeting using web client. If I want to use it using web client, well, I will get this tiny little message. Yep. Yeah, blog, for example. Yep. Unable to join end-to-end encrypted meeting from the web because this type of client is not supported. So if you want to use those advanced encryption and watermarks, you need full desktop client or use mobile clients for iOS or Android as well. Those works, but web browser is not supported. Okay, let's go back to the next one. So if you want to build some kind of baseline without any premium licenses, well, you should review default settings because in many cases defaults are not the best. You can create meeting policies and assign policies to groups, not to users, but to groups. Otherwise, you will be dealing with a lot of people. And well, you can only use those features. Review defaults and create and modify those few settings that are out of the box about security. But Microsoft proposed some kind of advanced scenarios, so tiers of protection. To be honest, Microsoft proposed 3 tiers, but you can create as many as you need. For example, baseline sensitive information, highly sensitive. You can make it more complex. For example, adding some top management, extremely sensitive, top secret, or whatever you call it. But you can make it more advanced or add additional tiers of protection to that. And to be honest, to use all those features, you need full. You need all type of licenses. So Teams Premium, and to use sensitivity labels, you need. I will show you that Microsoft created a very nice win page with this information. Yep. So you can, and you should go, even if you don't use Teams Premium licenses right now, you should go and create a similar table and think what do you need. If you need, for example, watermarks for very specific group of people, for top management, for financial, for legal team, maybe it's a good idea to acquire those licenses only for the team that you want to cover or that you want to secure. So go through all available security features. For example, there's an end-to-end encryption, meeting chats, what people can do using in chat, so copy. What about recordings? Who can record? Who can start recording? What about auto recording if it's disabled, enabled? Who can bypass the lobby? What about presenting content? So who can present? Because by default, as usual, everyone can present anything. So share your screen, show something, but you can strictly create those tiers for you, assign those settings, and then use all this. There should be a table, no, on the page, but to use to create highly sensitive or highly sensitive presentation in this example. Well, you need Teams Premium license and sensitive labels as well, because only then you can cover all possible scenarios and enhance security of your meetings. Otherwise, with Teams out of the box license and those features, well, you are limited only to those 5 or 6 features that you can enable in Teams Admin Center. So it's a good idea to consider Teams Premium license as an addition, but not for all users, because to be honest, not all users need all those security fancy features, but only to those who really need this. For example, if you need to cover to enhance security of your legal team, then you can acquire a few licenses for them and create a template or maybe a sensitivity label for this legal team and automatically apply this sensitivity label for the group, for the legal group. And then they will automatically use this label, use those features, and should be happy, and or at least more secured. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, please type them in chat. If not, thank you very much for your time. I hope that my session gave you something interesting, some interesting insights about into security features and what is available out of the box and what you need to acquire using additional licenses. I can't see any questions. So thank you very much once again, and have a nice rest of the day.
Hi, everyone.